Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody have a good day. Hope everybody had a blessed day. I am super excited tonight. Nervous as hell, super excited. I'm glad to be here. It's been a great, amazing day. Seeing all my recovery warriors popping on here. Phil, what up, brother? Love you guys. I'm excited, man. I This is my first Thursday night testimony night. Got an amazing speaker tonight. I'm excited to introduce him. I been waiting, it's been a long time coming to have this, and I'm super happy. Like 16 months ago, guys, 16 months ago tomorrow, ironically enough, I self-admitted myself in a long-term treatment, right? And it was an intensive inpatient here in Dayton. And that's when I met this guy. That's when I was blessed. He was bringing every Saturday night meetings, celebrate recovery meetings to all the men that were in this treatment center every Saturday, faithfully, day in and day out, every weekend until they wouldn't let him do it anymore. And that didn't stop him. He continued to post online and share his experience, strength, and hope to others. And he does this daily, day in and day out, trying to spread hope to the hopeless, breaking that stigma of addiction. He's been a huge part of my recovery, huge inspiration. And it warms my heart, to bring him on tonight, and the cool thing about all this, not only did he do this and was bringing this into the treatment center, he graduated from this program. And that's what really warmed my heart, seeing somebody doing so well in recovery, willing to come back and give back, practice step 12 and give back what's been so freely given to him. That's the therapeutic value, that's just reaching out. That's the beauty of the We program that I work, reaching out and helping other people. Not only was he showing up for himself and his personal recovery, but he was showing up for us. And it meant a lot to me. He's a true inspiration, and I am super happy to bring him on tonight. That's enough of me. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to Ronnie and bring him on screen here and unmuting. Ronnie V. He's from this local area. Super good friend of mine, and I am blessed to have him on. Ronnie, it is all yours. I'm going to shut up.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe, man. Hello, everyone. My name's Ronnie Vanderpool. I'm a recovering addict, believer in Jesus Christ, and walking in recovery from drugs, alcohol, and self. And here to, Joe's a big inspiration to me as well. It's a blessing to be a blessing, he started this platform, and I'm a big believer on recovery doesn't get easier, but you get stronger as a person, and you identify things better. Like, I was having a rough day the other day, and I seen that Joe started this platform, and I was like, my dude, like, you need to see things like that, because we forget along the way sometimes, because, man, they always say a grateful addict won't, it's hard to get to them grateful moments, like, you get stuck in your head. And I'm a big believer in, I don't, they've argued for years about addiction being a disease. I don't get into that. My addiction is mental health, anxiety, depression, insecurities, pressure, these expectations that we put on ourselves. And, I have a mental health problem, and through recovery, I've been able to learn how to cope with it without drugs and alcohol. I still have my bad days, but man, my good days, man, I can look myself in the mirror and be proud of what I'm doing and who I'm becoming, like everything. objects and all that, that makes it easier, but it's not the real blessings. The blessings are people like Joe that come into your life. Everyone that's in my life today, like calling me and see how I'm doing, like how am I, instead of, hey, you got this, you got that, like I would like to think all my old friends were really friends, but I believe that not only did they use me, but I used them for over 20 years, of filling that void. And now, actually, today, of knowing who I am, you know what I mean? Through this clear lens of recovery, I can actually say, what I mean, Joe's my real friend, like he's a genuine person, and here to tell my story tonight. Um, every time I give this, I get nervous. You know what I mean? It's just bringing up all them old feelings. I've given it a lot of times, but it doesn't get easier. You know what I mean? You bring up the when I wrote this, I was in such a place that I didn't know how this was going to turn out. You know what I mean? I wrote it right at my 18 months of recovery, and what it's turned into from when I wrote it is amazing, But here we go tonight. The Beautiful Addiction. On September 25th, 1982, I was blessed to be born into a family that would teach me to never give up. At a very young age, my parents was divorced, and me and my dad didn't have the best relationship. I only got to see him every other weekend. When I was a kid, I seen all my other friends' fathers passing football with them. I was jealous, and I wonder why I didn't have that in my life. Was I not good enough? Was I not lovable? My brokenness started at an early age. One day I ran out in the middle of the road on my own without my mother's permission and was struck by a car. I don't remember much about it, but while I was in the hospital, the woman gave me a toy. This was the start of a long journey of scars. Entering junior high, I found an outlet to dealing with my emotions of why I felt I wasn't loved by my dad. I started playing football and basketball. I was really good. I would make the local newspaper every week, but the friends I had as teammates, I didn't feel like I fit in with them. They were all popular. They came from rich parents, lawyers, and whatnot, and I just felt broken inside. I started hanging out with kids around my neighborhood that I connected with. I started feeling like I belonged. At the age of 15, me and my friends tried our first drug, not knowing this would lead to a long, dark road. I would continue looking forward to every weekend drinking and using drugs with friends. Slowly, sports and school was not a priority. At the age of 20, I bought a new car, and in my mind, it's time to celebrate the best way I know how. That night was a blackout, and I was drinking and driving. I remember wrecking in the ditch. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital and the police being by my side saying they thought I was dead in the car with the doors locked. So they had to take the top of my brand new car off to get to me. The next day, with guilt and shame, the nurse asked me, was I trying to kill myself? Because my alcohol level was 0.45. Even the consequences of that didn't stop my addiction. At the age of 23 years old, I decided to throw a party on Super Bowl Sunday. Later on that night, I decided to pick up two friends of mine, and I wasn't even able to stand up. When I got to their house, they asked me if I would take them to get some drugs at 3 in the morning. Obviously, I said yes, but one of them had to drive because at that point, I couldn't even stand up. Last thing I remember that night was going around a curve at 75 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone, and my friend losing control of the car and me trying to hold on to something. We went into a ditch, and the car flipped up in the air and cracked a half of a telephone pole, and the thing I accidentally grabbed a hold of was the door handle without my seatbelt on. My friends found me across the street, barely breathing. The driver wanted to take off running and leave me there, but the friend in the back seat wanted to stay and call the police. I was care flighted to Miami Valley Hospital, and there my friends were questioning on what happened, and the driver said I was the one driving. And the police told them I probably wasn't going to make it, but it was my own fault because I was driving. The police later on found out my friend was the one that was really driving. My family told me the doctors told them to prepare themselves because I might not make it through the night. I woke up a month later, not knowing what happened, scared to death, and having nightmares every night. The doctors told me at first they didn't think I could walk. I remember the first time I tried and I did it. 2 months later, I was released from the hospital, but this is where my addiction would go somewhere I never thought it would, from recovering from injuries. 4 months later, I went to court for the friend that said blamed me for driving, and I told the judge I was the first to pick him up, and this would have never happened if I didn't. That friend has now changed his life around and is now sober. That experience had me in deep depression. A lifelong friend was going to leave me there in that field, made me feel like I wasn't good enough once again. A year later, while drinking and still in addiction, I went down the same road I have already almost lost my life to and attempted to take my own life because I didn't feel like I deserved to live through my accident. Because at that point, I didn't love myself and who I was becoming. I took my car and went as fast as I could into a tree. The next day, I woke up in the hospital once again with the police there. At that time, I didn't have God in my life and I was lost and broken. It reminds me of verse John 4:16. And so we know and rely on the love of God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. My addiction continued to get worse, feeling empty inside, not knowing where to turn. Years passed, still empty, feeling regret and shame. I was really throwing my life away. On January 2nd, 2018, this is where my awakening happens. I was tired of hurting my family, especially my mother. Addiction was something I could not defeat or come to terms with that I had a problem. Because when I was in addiction, I thought I was the only one suffering, but the families of addicts are the ones that are really suffering. I decided the only way I was going to stop my addiction and stop hurting my family was to take as many drugs as I could that I would stop breathing. My mother found me overdose. I can't imagine everything I put her through. It led to this. They told me later on that night before they got me to the hospital, they did one last Narcan after 4 attempts. It brought me back to life. The next day, I woke up looking at my family crying. I broke their hearts. And I couldn't talk at that time. So I asked the nurse to give me a marker board. And all I could write was, I ran out of excuses. All I could write was, I'm sorry. Later on that night, in the hospital, I thought to myself, I need to do something I have never done before. I got down on my knees and I started praying. I said, God, I hated you all my life. And I'm not a believer. But if you're out there, I was like, please save me. The next day, the nurse walked in and handed me a sheet and said, son, I think you need help. And it was a sheet referring to treatment, a place called Woodhaven. And for some reason, it popped in my head, maybe this is God, you know what I mean? Let me know this is the way out. The next 2 weeks, I started calling every day at the same time. And I went. And the first day, I was scared to death, but I was more scared of dying. In Woodhaven, God put me with the right counselors that truly saved my life and brothers that loved me back to life when I couldn't love myself. I talk to every one of them to this day. I will always remember what they did for me. There was someone there that I met that started a Bible study and he invited me into it. And the night that he invited me into it, I said, nah. I said, I want to try this my way, you know? And then the night of my overdose, my last overdose, I remember what I did. I turned over my will, you know what I mean, to go into treatment. So I went to the Bible study and it truly changed my life. It gave me a new perspective on life. I never looked up to somebody my whole life, and I said, why not look up to God? Um, one day, that gentleman that started that Bible study invited me to a Celebrate Recovery meeting. I never heard of CR before. I never even been in a church before. First Church of Christ in Xenia was the first church I have ever been in. Here's where the foundation of my life started. CR made me dig deep inside of why I started drinking and using. March 27, 2018, I was baptized, and it was the happiest day of my life because I felt a new kind of freedom. I started getting deep into the Bible and realized this is what I've been missing. It has everything in there. Every day was getting better. In rehab, I started overcoming my fear of talking in front of people and fear, which has always ruled my life. In Woodhaven, I entered in a talent show that they had once a month. I started overcoming my fear and talking in front of people and perform. Girls just want to have fun. I was starting to love myself, a feeling I never had before. May 1st, 2018, I graduated from Woodhaven after 101 days. I felt like a new person. The day I left, I looked out the window, and across the way was Miami Valley Hospital, where I almost died from my car accident. And I looked up and I thank God, because he gave me the strength to change. He knew I couldn't change, so he became the change in me. And he gave me a love that I never felt for myself before. I realized God, he's always been by my side. I left there and started my new journey at a second chance at life. I got to spend the holidays with my family sober, and for once having God in my life. And the first gift my family got me was a chipboard, because them chips meant the world to me early on. I still have it up in my room, and it says, every champion was once a contender that refused to give up. I never had hope like this before. After not having my license for 7 years and 5 DUIs and 25 driving under suspensions, I got them back. I wrote my hometown judge, telling him thank you for not giving up on me and sending me to prison. Because after all the trouble I had caused, he could have easily given up on me. And he wrote me back saying how proud he was of me. Getting closer to God and letting him take control of my life, it's been nothing short of a miracle. God took a hot mess like me and makes me feel worthy and shines light into my life every day. I was on probation from 2002, and I completed it 2 years ago. And my probation officer took a picture of me, and it hangs on the wall down in my city, local city building, and it says recovery is possible. And a funny story that goes along with that: the day that, in recovery, I like planning stuff out. I can't make spontaneous decisions, And I walked in there, and she said, "You know what you did today?" I said, "What?" She's like, "You completed something that you haven't been able to complete in 16 years. You're getting off probation today." And my worst thought was that my mind was going to go, okay, this is a new kind of freedom I can use now. But all the work I put into recovery, day in and day out, it paid off on this day, because as soon as I left there, I was excited about going to a meeting that night. I had planned meetings at that time, and I went to the grocery store to pick up a few groceries. I'm on the phone with my sponsor talking about how excited I was about going to a meeting that night of this new kind of freedom. And I locked the keys in my car, and it was the first time I had to call the cops. And they came, and believe it or not, the cop that showed up used to arrest me week after week. And it was my probation officer's husband at that. And he gave me the biggest hug, and he said that he was so proud of me. And at that point, I knew that God was working in my life. I needed that. Like, this is a new kind of freedom, but look, it can be taken away from you. All right. And today I got people in my life When I can't pick myself up, they pick me up when I'm feeling down. Every day I wake up and thank God for a second chance at life and to be able to start life over. Um, here in here in a couple month or a month, I will be able to celebrate 4 years of sobriety. Uh, Today, me and my dad have the best relationship. We talk every day, and I celebrate every day that I'm sober with my family and my loved ones and my friends. One person that means the world to me that never gave up on me was my mother. Mom, I love you so much. And you know, getting out of Woodhaven and the first time I gave my testimony was at 18 months, and but trials came with that. Like um after my first year I was feeling that loneliness. Um didn't have a girlfriend, and I wanted to stay chasing God, and I thought, hey, I'm sober. Why can't I be in a relationship? Um and I got in an unhealthy relationship because I knew that she wasn't the one for me. I was chasing the wrong things, and she was using here and there, and I was headed for a relapse. My first sponsor, went back out. I was going down this long dark road of chasing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? I was feeling that void inside of me because a year wasn't enough for me to be able to love myself. And I wanted that instant gratification. Well, instead of relapsing, I decided to go to church one day and rededicate my life. And I told the Lord during that prayer, I said, Lord, I gave you my sobriety, but I'm ready to give all of me to you, not just my sobriety. I'm a big believer on sobriety. The only way you're able to keep it is if you change of everything that you are. Um, Not just wanting to use, but your old bad behaviors. So I said a prayer at that time. I said, Lord, I said, whoever you have for me when it is your time, I was like, watch over until I get there. And from that point on, I went strong in my recovery. I stayed single. There was a lot of lonely nights, you know what I mean? But I needed those lonely nights to reflect on who I was, to be able to sit with my feelings. And 2 weeks later, after I said that prayer, I went to a new CR in Dayton. I never branched out like that, but it was time to get uncomfortable because I knew getting uncomfortable made me grow. And went to a new CR, met new people, and it was I love every one of them there at Riverside in Dayton to this day. I talk to them every day, and but if I could go back and tell that little boy that was lost and didn't fit in and how life was going to turn out, I would say, Ronnie, you will go through struggles. You will try to fit in by using and drinking. You will go through addiction for 20 years. Sometimes you will feel defeated and at times suicidal. And this is what drugs will do for you. But please know one day you will find it in you to fight back. Treatment and faith will be your greatest gift in life. You will pray for sobriety, and God willing, you will stay sober. Sobriety will enable you to be the person you have always wanted to be. You will share your story of strength and hope that it may help just one. You will be a voice for the sick and suffering and try to help others not to feel how you felt. God will bless your life and you will be able to love yourself and live one day at a time. Proverbs 8:35, for he who finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. Today my recovery is only possible through God and going to CR. All my life I was not scared of dying, but I was scared of wanting to die while still alive. Today I love myself. I still struggle with depression and anxiety, but I'm able to cope with it in a healthy way. I never want anybody to feel like there is no hope. God has blessed me to be able to give back, and by going to the rehab where I graduated from and, sharing my story. and taking brothers to CR meetings or whatever meetings. And I like to talk about the last part from the heart spontaneously. The past couple years, I was able to, God led me to be able to baptize over 25 guys, from Woodhaven. And, getting guys in the treatment and stuff like that. I've helped out like probably I'd say about 60 or 70 guys getting in the treatment, and all it took was I don't have the knowledge for it, but I believe that God has given me the guidance and direction and the wisdom to be able to do that. Now, when I was talking about getting in the relationship after my first year, some amazing things have happened this past year. One of the girls that was at that meeting, at the Celebrate Recovery meeting, she I was a big advocate on working with the same gender, because I knew myself, like the temptation and all that. Like I stayed away from working with females in recovery. Well, somehow it got intertwined, and I started working with a girl that was really strong in her program when I went to Riverside in Dayton after my 1 year. And me and her worked well together. Like we kept boundaries with each other. We were just strictly friends about our program. We were like big believers in God. And um what happened was, like, she would be the person with the like finding outlets to like treatment centers and stuff like that, because my ADHD doesn't help me focus or allow me to focus on like looking up information and stuff like that. But I'm able to, my strength is able to talk to guys and relate to what they're talking about. You know what I mean? If they are in addiction. So me and her worked well together. Like it was like a match made in heaven. We got so many guys help, anybody that needed help at that time. And well, about almost 8 months ago, me and her did a lot in the recovery community, and we was always doing for everybody else. But we decided, why not go out as friends, just go putt putt and take a night off of recovery, of giving back. And we did. But after that, after I dropped her off, I felt different inside. I was like, what is this? I never felt these thoughts about her, and right before that night that we went out, we started doing a 365 daily devotion or nightly devotion with each other through Celebrate Recovery. And we started praying with each other. Well, a couple nights after, it came out in our devotion. I couldn't keep it inside. It was like something was pulling at me to tell her how I felt, even though thinking in my mind that this could change things between us, because we've always kept up boundaries. And I told her how I felt, and pretty much, she said, "Shut up, Ronnie. I feel the same." And God has blessed us. We've been in a relationship almost 8 months now. It's the first healthy relationship of my entire life. I can honestly say I don't need her, but I want her. I'm not filling that void today. And when I was 18, I was I got a girl pregnant, and her parents made her get an abortion, which really tore me up inside. I was going to be a father that I never had in my life. You know what I mean? I was going to be that person I needed. And she got an abortion, but when I was in my car accident, they told me I had so much trauma to my brain and everything else that I might not be able to have kids ever. But this is where God has blessed me also. my girlfriend today has two beautiful daughters, you know what I mean? And um, I'm trying to be that role model for them and trying to be the person that I never, I guess, had a chance to be, And it's like I really have a family of my own now, you know what I mean? And that touches my heart. Like the blessings aren't the money, the blessings aren't um, anything object wise. The blessings are the people that come into your life on this journey. And this girl helped me out so much. Last year was the biggest test of my entire life. My grandmother passed. And my grandmother, before I went into treatment, she got diagnosed with Alzheimer's and I didn't get to see her. And my grandma never got to see me sober. Um, and last Christmas she passed away. And any other grieving time like this is where Celebrate Recovery helped me out the most because I was able to grieve the right way, Like CR is about not just about using or drinking or stop using and drinking, but it helps you deal with life situations. It helps behind the using and drinking, why you use and drink. And God gave me the strength to be able to be there for every one of my family members, during my grandmother's passing. And usually I would have dwelled on that, you know what I mean? I would have been like, poor me, I lost my grandmother. And now being close to God, I was able to feel my grandmother's spirit. And I stood up and I was the person that God intended me to be. I was comforting family members during that time instead of being in my own feelings. And, my girlfriend at that time, we were just friends, but she sent flowers to my grandmother's funeral, and that just touched my heart that, and all them things that, of being there and comfort and listen to me vent, that's a huge one in recovery. And even though that my grandmother wasn't able to see me sober, with having God in my life, I feel there every day, and it's a blessing to be able to give my testimony right before Christmas, you know what I mean? Because this time last year, it was a rough road, I didn't think I was going to make it. But today I can honestly say, you know what I mean? I have my bad days, but man, my good days are like awesome, But I thank everyone for listening tonight. Uh, you guys are a blessing, and I see all your guys' stuff that you're posting. Like if you're in here right now, about recovery, and it helps me. So please keep on going, guys. Thank you guys tonight.
Man, brother, awesome, awesome, awesome testimony. I can't even begin to relate or even say where I relate because I related to so much, especially there at the end with grandma. I lost my dad just a little over a year ago in same situation. He didn't get to see me. Um, but I know he's seeing me today. You know what I mean? I know if we keep doing the right thing and keep doing what we're doing, um, that's what I know my father would want. I got blessed the other day, brother, with going out to dinner with my family, and that's what you teared me up. You were talking about tearing up, and you got me. And my stepmom hugged me at the end of dinner and said that your dad would be proud of you. And man, I just yeah, I mean it turned me into a faucet, brother. I mean it turned me into a complete faucet. I just related so much, like the whole wreckage and the struggles, especially the mental health, the anxiety and the depression, like especially now during the holidays. That's why I shared about it yesterday and how important it is to reach out and ask for help and talk to someone and use your support network, no matter what fellowship. It doesn't matter. Just reach out and ask for help. And, whatever you do, don't pick up. It never makes anything better, ever. It's always worse tenfold. We're both living testaments of that. And just staying vigilant in your recovery, just you keep pushing. And man, talked about slowing down and not overwhelming yourself and your brain going 100 miles an hour and not being able to focus on things. And I think at one point when you were talking about, where your girlfriend has her strengths and your weaknesses and you guys work together, like I related to that whole relationship scenario because that's where I'm at in my recovery too. Very, very similar. Um, we help one another. Like, and I think that's pretty much where you were going with it. You guys, where you struggle or need help, she picks you up and lifts you up, and vice versa. It's beautiful, man. It's just really awesome. Because I'm one that's good with the resources. Um, well, they're burning you up already.
My bad, man.
Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. But like, it's good that, you keep doing what you're doing. You're a huge hope shot. You've been a huge inspiration and personal impact in my personal recovery. You were there from day one. You're still there now. You're still reaching out and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with other people. It's sharing hope to the hopeless. That's what it's all about. Because we were both at that point in our lives where I had become, I was contemplating suicide myself. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to live, especially during the holidays and not having two nickels to rub together and living on the streets. It was miserable. It was a miserable point in my life. And it's just so relatable, man. You were saying so many things that I was relating to. I lost track of them. And that's what 20 plus years of drug addiction does to my brain. I'm forgetful. I forget things, man. It's awesome. I'm go ahead.
Yeah, man, Joe. I mean, you're helping me. I mean, this is, giving back. Like I touched on, the biggest thing in my recovery was, I started seeing trends. You know what I mean? I was like a true follower of the world. And I started seeing like guys recovering from addiction, and the one common denominator that they had was having God in their life. Like I never grew up in the church. And for me, I have to see things to believe in them. And I took that leap of faith. You know what I mean? And because my family's never been like believers in God, and you know what I mean, and I did that. I took that step and leap of faith, and it's helped me out so much. You know what I mean? Like being able to lead guys to get baptized and seeing guys like recover, and understanding the knowledge that I have on recovery today is amazing because I am the most simple guy ever. You know what I mean? All I do is take my story and share it to others. You know what I mean? And that's all you need to do. Like you're gonna touch the people that you know what I mean. God intended you to inspire. He works in the, but I am not that perfect person. You know what I mean? I still have flaws today. I still chase money sometimes. I still um yeah, that's why I work on myself every day. And then, Joe, you were talking about, my girlfriend having the strengths that I don't. She she just celebrated her anniversary. She's
Awesome.
going on 3 years herself. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing that me and her do is communicating. But it took a lot of work to get her, but it was worth it. It took 39 months of lonely nights, being in my head and all that. It took 39 months, but I'll tell you what, I would spend probably 80 months if I had that as a reward. You know what I mean? like to get
Right.
there. I would, and it took that long to be able to learn to love myself and not. I've always needed somebody by my side, you know, but I needed to be by myself to reflect on myself and learn how to love myself because some days it just doesn't feel good being me, you know? And the tools that recovery gives you like gratitude list. Tim Brown in Woodhaven, he always said, bust out the gratitude list. And that taught my mind to learn how to, you know what I mean, work through those bad days. You know, good days will be there, but yeah, Joe. I mean, you're keeping me going during this holiday season, man. It's a lot of stress. It's you know, because you reach a certain point in your recovery where a lot of people put expectations on you. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to stay sober. You're supposed to get a lot of gifts to people. You know, you have your life together and all that. You know, I'm going through a transformation right now. That all that matters is if I don't put expectations on myself. You know, just live one day at a time, one thing at a time, and yeah. So I appreciate you, Joe, having me on here tonight.
I appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's that whole nothing changes if nothing changes, and I've literally had to change everything, all aspects of my life, and just slow myself down, like you said. Try to stay in the moment, not worry about the woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know,
Yeah.
try to stay focused on today, right now. That's what I struggle with control. I have control issues, and I want when I want it because I'm an addict, and I have to remind myself daily, like you said, to slow myself down and just focus on what's ahead right now, what's in front of me right now, because I can't change 20 minutes ago and I can't change 20 minutes from now. So why not just take the opportunity to work on me right now, what's going on with me, and just setting those healthy boundaries and trying to stick to them to the best of my ability. Like you said, remaining teachable because I don't know it all, nor will I ever know it all. I still get nervous when I do things like this um, because I'm staying vigilant. You know, I'm trying to push myself daily and reach out and practice step 12. And, you know, I don't care if there's 10 people watching or I don't, you know, if there's 100 people watching. If I reach one person that needs to hear your story, needs to hear my story, whoever is on here, that's a win for me. You know, that's what it's all about for me. It's not about numbers. It's not about money, this, that, profit, anything like that. You know, it's about saving lives. That's what's important to me personally. And that's why I do what I do. This is something that I would have never seen myself personally doing almost a year and a half ago, 16 months ago. I mean, who would have ever thought, you know? Tim Brown also said to give yourself a break and quit pumping quarters in that ass kicking machine that I use all the time here in Dayton, and give yourself a break. That is a Tim Brown famous quote. And he is big on gratitude and positive affirmations because I'm sure each and every one of us that's listening right now struggle with some form of mental health struggle. Whether it's, you know, I struggled with anxiety and depression, and I was a master isolator. I would isolate to the
Man,
point to where family was looking in obituaries for me. You
yeah.
know, so I relate, man. I really appreciate you sharing tonight. It's the first time I've got to hear your whole story and what your struggles you went through, just like getting your license in that back, man. That's amazing. That is like hope shot right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. After wrecking like four brand new cars, and man, they were ready to be done with me. And but you know, and you know, today I don't have to knock on wood. Um, I can honestly say I haven't since I've been sober. I haven't been followed by the cops this whole time, and there's a reason because I'm living the right way. I don't. I'm not. You know, I tell you what, a big transformation. It might seem little, but my first Thanksgiving after I got out of treatment, I went to the grocery store that day, and it was so busy, and I had to walk a mile from where I parked into the store, right? And I come out, and I'm trying to do the right thing, so I didn't want to leave the car off to the side so another car could hit it. So I would always like push the cart into the little cage things, after I was done shopping. Well, there was a 12 pack of pop in the cart below in front of me when I pushed in the cart. And my first thought was, okay, I got me a free 12 pack of pop. But today I do the right thing, right? And I walked a mile all the way back into the store, knowing that the clerk probably wasn't going to look to see whose 12 pack this was. But I knew I was doing the right thing. You know what I mean? I can't control nobody else. And I'm stomping my feet. I'm throwing a hissy fit and everything else. I said, I do not want to return this. And I believe this was God tearing at my heart. I went all the way in there and returned that 12 pack of pop. And at that point, I was like, man, I'm pretty proud of myself because I'm doing the right thing. Like I have a clear conscience today. And yeah, sure, like I mess up all the time. But when I mess up, I'm able to be upfront about it. I'm able to be honest about it. And I have amazing people in my life today that will call me out on my stuff. Like, hey, you're getting carried away with money, and I mean, like, chasing the wrong things, and like, hey, I'm worried about the road that you're taking down this. And because I easily get caught up in the money, I easily get caught up on working all the time, all the wrong things, man. And that's how my defective mind works. But I'm able, God has put people in my life that keep me grounded today. And I get cocky, I get prideful. Pride is a big issue for me. And Joe was talking about control issues. I love playing God, you know what I mean? Like thinking what other people are, you know what I mean, doing and all that. I can't, no. I need people in my life to be able to keep me grounded and keep me humbled. Because even though I'm coming up on 4 years, I never got this. This is really one day at a time. I know it's cliche, but I love living one day at a time because I don't know what the future holds. Like it keeps on, when they say it keeps on getting better and better, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have trials and tribulations. It just means that down the road, you keep on going and it will all be worth it. So,
Things will work out.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've found, man. As long as I keep doing the right thing, it's not when I want it. It's that whole self-will thing. I have to have trust and faith in something greater than myself and just realize that it's going to happen when it's meant to happen and be okay with that. But as addicts, it's easier said than done at times. It's that whole control struggle and instant gratification that I personally struggle with. But, I found in recovery that the more I practice it, the easier things get. And the blessings of recovery just keep showing up, man. It's just amazing. And it's the unseen ones are the amazing ones that keep showing up. It's those unexpected blessings out of nowhere. And you're just like, what? Like, where did that come from? Just by doing the right thing, man. And like you said, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. We're human. It's that whole nightly inventory, admitting our faults, turning it back over and starting the day fresh, just keep pushing forward. It's awesome. Well, look, I appreciate you being on here tonight, Ronnie. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone's time. I've seen so many people on here tonight. Pastor Dan in Dayton and Jackie, friends of mine in Harrison, Ohio. That's my mother from another brother. I love her to death. I love her son. Good friends of mine from, early childhood into my teenage and early 20s before I became a train wreck and started wreaking havoc. Those are blessings right there. Those are people that were in my life and are still in my life today and still rooting for me. And, a positive influence in my recovery in my life today that stuck it through. I never gave up. You know, there were some that did give up, and those are ones in my personal recovery that didn't give up. And I love them to death for it. I really do. But I appreciate you being here. Next week, I've got another awesome lineup, guys. The Tennessee Mikes. I love saying that because it probably burns their butt when I say it. 50 plus years of recovery. They both work a Narcotics Anonymous program. It's going to be an awesome night. I can't wait to have these guys on. So if you have time next week at 8 o'clock, same time, same bat channel, we'll be on here. I want to thank you again, Ronnie. I really appreciate it. You are a hope shot and a true inspiration and a blessing in my recovery and so many others. It's amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I love you.
Yeah, I love you guys, and you guys have a blessed night.
Thanks. I appreciate it. You guys stay positive in your recovery. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Love you.